Guys, welcome back to the channel and another Swish 001 video. Now, today I've planned an interesting video again, and that is actually an emergency simulation video. You know what, I haven't done that in a while, so I think it's time again. Today, let's experiment around a little bit with fire, especially fire in the cabin of our plane. Now, of course, the question arises, what kind of plane do we have? Of course, this is a 737-800. You know, I've liked to use the 737 MAX a lot recently, but that one doesn't even fly in real life, so of course we've gone for the 800, which does actually fly, which is good. Now, our livery is, of course, Reiner, as you can tell. Reiner actually has never had fire or smoke on board, apparently. Even though they did have an incident with an actual power bank catching fire, and that was actually back when there was a little bit of an evacuation scandal of Reiner, because it was so chaotic. But whatever, let's just go ahead and take off. Of course, Reiner has never had an actual fatal crash, so that's good. Alright, let's just go ahead. Full power takeoff here out of Palma de Mallorca. Now, that was a very successful takeoff out of Palma, and let's actually already go for some fire action. And it's already happened. We did have a master caution alert here, and there's now fumes here. Alright, now the most critical thing, of course, is time, because fire spreads, and you know what, let's not care about all the checklists here. All we want to do here, especially when we're so close to the airport and so close to the ground especially, is actually we just want to land. Now, actually finding the source of the fire is impossible in such a large plane. All we know is that there is fire in here, and actually there's smoke here in the whole cabin. It's not only the cockpit, so this has got to go fast. The thing I would actually do is I would turn off the power of the whole electrical systems, because that is actually what is mostly recommended in you know, most flight books. For example, I do fly a small propeller plane in real life, and it also obviously states that you should turn off all the electrical systems, because you know, the electrical systems may be the actual issue. They may be the ones that have caught fire. So let's turn off most of all of this stuff so that we can maybe actually already fight the fire in some way, even though it's obviously very, very much impossible to extinguish a fire in this case. Well, let's go ahead. We've turned off most of the electrical systems, but now it is actually important to maintain control of the aircraft, obviously, because that is something you might actually lose once the fire has caught on. Because you know, when your actual plane catches fire mid-flight, then there's a lot of stuff that can actually happen, right? It's a very dynamic process. For example, the fire can just damage the hydraulics and all that stuff, and that is definitely something you do not want to have. All right, turn on the seatbelt signs. There we go. And okay, luckily enough, the landing gear still comes down. I didn't expect that, actually, because we actually do have turned off most of the electrics. Actually, you're supposed to put down everything before you do that, normally, but that's another story. And we are actually already on final here. This is looking like a good landing. By the way, I forgot to say that everyone is wearing a mask now, an oxygen mask. Not the COVID-19 mask, but the actual oxygen mask. You're supposed to put it on, obviously, otherwise you're not gonna live, so you're gonna want to do that. Now, luckily here, the smoke isn't too dense, so we can actually still see stuff here in the cockpit, and we can still see stuff that's going on the outside, because that's actually something that might happen as well. You might actually lose vision. See, it's a very dynamic thing. Let's go ahead. All right, great landing, apparently. Let's go ahead and get this plane very, very much stopped as quickly as possible. All right, now there's actual Reiner music coming up in the background, but something I actually want to do is evacuate the aircraft. How did I do that here? Alright, let's just get out of here. Reiner, low first, mate. So this is super ironic. Let's go. But alright, this was actually a fairly successful landing. Plane is not on fire right now, but we have successfully landed. It doesn't display fire here properly in the flight simulator. Now, we were obviously very, very, very much lucky that we had just departed when the fire actually started. Now let's do things a little bit more spicier. Now, let's imagine that we're flying above the Atlantic Ocean. Yes, 6,600 feet, and this is actually the Mediterranean Sea. And let's just imagine that the fire breaks out right now. There we go. We've got an alert. Let's do the same thing again. Let's turn off the electrical systems. All right, let's turn off everything. Now, the question, of course, is where would you land? Well, probably you would end up ditching the plane, because that is, I guess, still better than losing control and crashing, which is actually what's going to happen now. Let's just have a leak here in the hydraulics system. So let's imagine that the hydraulic system was actually damaged by the fire. Okay, we've actually lost the whole electrics, which is probably not good. Now we've actually lost most of the control of the aircraft. It is now very, very hard to control anything hardly. We can do some slight movements here, but no, this plane is pretty much lost. Alright, so let's just get this plane ditched then. We still have got the most basic controls. We can still control the thrust here, which is good. Yeah, this is not too good of a flight now. Alright, come on, before anything else gets damaged and we fall apart in mid-air, let's go ahead and ditch the plane. See, we always have to act very, very quickly because the fire on board an aircraft can lead very, very quickly to catastrophic loss. And that is actually in a very, very short period of time. So, alright, now we're getting closer and closer to the Mediterranean Sea. I have pretty much no control of this aircraft at this point. It does fly a little bit, but it is very, very hard to actually get this plane into the ground properly. Well, let's try doing the smoothest landing on the ocean as possible. Alright. The ground is getting closer and closer. Oh, please. Alright, that was actually a great landing according to the simulator, and we've actually taken off again. Come on. And now we are stopping, and we're stopping very quickly, actually, so that is good. And that was another kind of successful landing. Or probably not, but at least we didn't crash due to the fire. Now, in a really, really bad case, which we can also, of course, simulate, maybe the fire has done so much destruction that you've totally lost the control of the aircraft, and maybe even the engine. Yep, we have lost all of it, genuinely. All of it. Oh no. Alright, let's go ahead and get these engines out as well, because they have also been affected by the fire. Everything's down. And yeah, now we can actually give up. Let's see what's going to happen. We're probably just going to spiral to the ground. I mean, that kind of stuff also has happened in the past with fire in the cabin. Alright, let's just skip some time. We'll probably crash into the mountains, actually. That'll be very spectacular. Alright. The airplane is gliding down quite nicely, actually. Didn't expect that to happen, but now the mountain's ahead. And now the landing, as I've said. We're at minus 15,000 feet of touchdown rate. Not that good of a flight, but a very good flare as well. Slowly lower the steering. Alright, that was fire in the cabin in today's video. And so, yeah guys, thank you for watching today's video. And I'll see you tomorrow as always. Good night. Alright, but now it is time for a little bonus clip. Yeah, I have to make the video a little bit longer. So let's just do that. What I wanted to actually show you here real quick is this hot air balloon that's recently been added to the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Yes, we've only had this for like a few days now, and as you can see, this is a very, very much needed addition to the flight simulator indeed. Now we can finally go Mach 4, which we're actually pretty much going at the moment. With the hot air balloon, we can intercept an airliner. I guess we will also show up as a hot air balloon to the other player called Mike War 91. So yes, our dreams have come true. We can finally fly around with a hot air balloon in the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. The physics of this one, oh, this was almost a collision. Yeah, it's not that realistic, actually. But that's another story. Yep, this is kind of breaking news. Microsoft Flight Simulator, we finally have a hot air balloon. Good night.